Well, regarding Spain, I think we have an answer that may be, I'm coming from Spain, but my answer may be applicable to more countries and not only Spain. Let me explain that. Before answering, I think this question requires for me a couple of observations. As I said at the beginning of my presentation, my main concern is nation integrity. Spain is facing, at the present moment, a terrible denationalization problem which is being promoted by its own state. Spain is facing a process of federalization that threatens its nation integrity. And a kind reminder on this, the destabilization of Spain has historically always been a first step towards the destabilization of the rest of Europe. Now, addressing your question, Western governments and legislative houses are no longer working for their national interests. They are working for someone else's interests. And if there is a buyer, that is because there is a seller. And I think that the biggest corporations in human history are buying countries by means of buying little men while they are holding temporary offices in their own respective countries. We are witnessing, I think, the greatest collusion of all times. It has already killed modern state, as I said previously. And what's next? They are already telling us that what we can perceive may not be what is really happening. I mean, reality is being labeled as disinformation. But don't lose your heart, because I think that the death of state is a piece of good news after all, because it allows a new beginning, a moral reset in opposition to the Great Reset promoted by that advertising and lobbying company called World Economic Forum and all political and private players behind it. Western nations need a moral reset rooted in these four core elements of civilization and culture. And following your recommendation, Sebastian, I will repeat them. Life, self-defense, property, and transcendence. The four are nation-born. None of them come from the state. But make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, following rule of law hearing, the breakdown of the rule of law is the breakdown of peace. And then, following this, we can say we are at war. A bloodless war for the time being, but it is a war in which weaponized legislation with a pink-colored terror regime as destination. A war in which dying states fight their own nations in the benefit of third countries, supranational entities, and private corporations. And in this war, life is pursued, self-defense is forbidden, property is a dead body, and governments are priests. We need a new rule of law, starting with these four constituents for individual freedom. A rule of law developed in harmony with them. After all, a moral reset.
Mr. Alejandro.